okay.
She's very
Right.
So that,
You just still,
No, I came in at the
so they're
time.
gonna go.
Okay.
Right?
Perfect, so I'll invite Kate Justin.
She's waiting for someone who's
People can ask them.
Right,
Okay.
and they'll, yeah, right.
Right,
You're
gotcha.
gonna say something about.
Okay, thank you, Lori.
He told me. I ran into him right after. I just went golfing with him yesterday at Skyway in Hudson County, yeah. For the Jeeps, yeah.
Can't put an order for a statement in.
I didn't know, I was the last minute.
Yeah,
about it,
so
so.
do I.
Yeah, see, it's weird, since I'm not always the guy, since I've come back to
Apparently,
I get, it's like
Yeah.
willy-nilly when I get it done.
Right, hit or miss, right, yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason.
If there's anything you're interested in, just email me if I know anything.
Cool. Oh, and,
Are you doing that this evening?
Bingo.
Oh, you are? I was just telling you, I'm gonna try and sneak down there.
I would think
They're
so,
gonna be there Tuesday and Wednesday, so I'm gonna try and sneak down maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, or something.
yeah, I'm gonna be down Monday, actually, I'm gonna be down like 2 days, although now, when you go down to the
Charles is not coming.
That's the worst. That's the worst.
I ran into your attorney friend who lives in Westfield. Why can't I know his name?
Not just us.
It's the other one. You see the secret thread. No.
Tom Cook. Yeah.
Definitely.
He's a school attorney.
Northborough. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I ran into him.
I can't remember.
Oh, really?
Whatever it was, it was Tuesday, Wednesday.
You missed it.
And I completely forgot to.
Oh, boy.
To do it. I meant to do that and I got caught up in things, so I'll shoot a little email.
Isn't that terrible?
Hey, it was like, we need to-
Oh, yeah. I coached flag football with him, so both our kids are on the
He said
same.
he knew
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
he knew you well, but I didn't know what.
Right, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he said something about
Right.
talking for, maybe 5 minutes. And
you
we
good
know
story?
each other for like another
Yeah.
10
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
We're ready? All right, we're gonna get started. Notice is hereby given of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Town of Westfield in the County of Union, New Jersey at 7:30 p.m. on the evening of Tuesday, October 17th, 2017, in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey. The purpose of this meeting is to transact the regular business of the board and to transact any other business to come properly before the board. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, the Westfield School Board on Thursday, October 12th, 2017, caused to be posted at the office of the Board of Education located at 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey, and delivered to the Westfield Leader, the Star Ledger, the Westfield Library, Town Clerk of Westfield, Tap into Westfield, and Patch.com, a meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. Dana, can we have a roll call?
Michael Beelan?
Here.
Mark Friedman?
Here.
Brendan Galligan?
Here.
Robert Garrison?
Here.
Chris Langhart?
Here.
Gretchen Oleg?
Here.
Peggy Oster? Here. Charles Ostroff? Amy Root?
Here. Mark, can you lead us in a flag salute?
Sure, please join me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we are going to dive right into announcements, and this is actually one of our favorite parts of our board meetings is we get to recognize student achievement. So I'm just going to step over to the podium and ask that the first of the 3 Westfield High School students who we're going to recognize tonight come forward. Ben Kevelson. So full disclosure, I've known Ben since he was 2, but I'm going to stick to the script, I promise. So Ben was named a 2018 National Merit Semifinalist. This designation is a result of a competition by the National Merit Scholarship Corporation, which uses the preliminary SAT test to screen more than 1.5 million juniors. Approximately 1.1% qualify as National Merit Semifinalists. Ben is among the highest scoring entrants and is eligible to apply for a National Merit Scholarship. The program honors students who show exceptional academic ability and potential for success in rigorous college studies. Ben, who is a Westfield High School senior this year, is not only in the forefront in academic achievement, but he is also one of our Blue Devils marching band drum majors and is an accomplished musician who plays the harp and the saxophone. He's a member of the Westfield High School Wind Ensemble and somehow finds time to play the harp at senior citizens' homes, volunteer at a food shelter, and at an after-school program for homeless and at-risk children. So I personally, and on behalf of the board, want to congratulate you and thank you for representing Westfield so very well. Congratulations. I'm also going to ask Catherine Armstrong and Justin O'Boyle to come up to the podium. Hi. So Kate, as she likes to be called, and Justin are 11th graders at Westfield High School and have been selected as 2017 Governor's STEM Scholars. The STEM Scholars received 600 applications, and they selected 85 students using very rigorous criteria, including character, leadership ability, and STEM aptitude. The director of the program explains that the purpose of the Governor's STEM Scholars is to take New Jersey's best and brightest STEM students and introduce them to what New Jersey has to offer. Senator Cory Booker told the scholars that we need to empower more young people to explore, to discover, to innovate. The first meeting of the program took place a few weeks ago at Rutgers, and it's no surprise that these two students from Westfield were selected. Kate attended a 2-week engineering camp at Brown University during the summer between 9th and 10th grade and is a distinguished honor roll student. She participates in Model UN, Westfield Plainfield Connections, and is a member of the Blue Devils soccer team, which apparently is doing pretty well in county competition.
14-0 right now.
14-0? Excellent, excellent. So congratulations on that, and also on being selected as a STEM scholar. So you make us proud all around. Here you go. Thank you. Justin has been described by his counselors having a true passion for computer science. He's an active member of the Westfield High School's Coding with a Cause Club, where he travels to McKinley and Washington elementary schools each week to teach younger students about computer science. He's an honor roll student who is interested in history, politics, and enjoys reading in his spare time. So Justin, we hope you continue your passion for learning and for sharing what you have learned, and we want to congratulate you both and thank you for representing Westfield so well. Looks like there are pictures, so do you just want them? Which is fine.
Nice try.
It's a nice picture.
Congratulations, Gretchen, that's your 10,000th photo.
I'm sorry. You got me in trouble, Mark.
Let me know. The dad's got congratulations.
So while we would love you to stay, we completely understand. Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this point, I'd recognize anyone from the public for agenda items only. Seeing no one come to the podium, we will, how about other announcements? Yeah, sorry. Amy, I'm gonna start with you.
Sure.
Okay.
I have a couple from the community. On Tuesday, October 24th, a free parent education workshop will be held from 6 to 7 p.m. at Youth and Family Counseling, which is located at 233 Prospect Street in Westfield. The workshop will coincide with Red Ribbon Week's focus on drug prevention. To reserve your space for this free workshop, call 908-233-2042 by October 19th, which is 2 days from now. Also, in conjunction with Red Ribbon Week, the Westfield Municipal Alliance invites parents and the community to an open house on Wednesday, October 25th, from 6:15 to 7 p.m. in room 120 at Westfield High School. The Municipal Alliance is a community-based group which coordinates alcohol and drug prevention programs. Please RSVP by October 21st, a couple more days, but this is long, to Westfield Municipal Alliance @gmail.com. All one big flow of words. Westfield Municipal Alliance @gmail.com. This event will precede the Westfield High School PTSO meeting, which will begin at 7:15 in Cafeteria B. So the Municipal Alliance open house is from 6:15 to 7, and then the high school PTSO meeting is at 7:15 elsewhere in the building.
There you go. Thank you. Rob?
Yes, 2 parent events. This Thursday, October 19th, the Franklin School PTO invites all Westfield parents and community members to attend the free presentation entitled Protecting Children in a Hyper-Digital Age. It will be held in the school's gym on Thursday, October 19th, beginning at 7 p.m. Also, on Thursday, October 26th, parents are invited to attend a workshop hosted by Imagine entitled Fostering Resilience in Children Coping with Loss. It will be held from 6:30 through 8 p.m. at 224 Sheffield Street in Mountainside. For further information, you can call 908-264-3100.
Thanks, Chris.
Done here.
Michael, do you have any announcements?
I do. Congratulations to Jackson Dowden, 6th grader at Edison Intermediate School in Westfield, who has been selected to the New York Jets Tri-State Upstander of the Week. Christine Calabrese, physical education teacher who nominated Jackson, stated, Jackson was nominated by the Edison physical education staff because he proves that he is a role model for his peers, respecting himself and others, and by making the right choices. When Jackson was asked how he is an upstander rather than a bystander, Jackson said, in gym class, I try to make sure the teams are fair and for each side. And if I get the ball and see a kid hasn't had the ball, I pass it to him or her. Jackson added, I'll try to be nice to everyone I meet. If anyone is getting on your nerves, you work it out and stay away from them. Jackson will receive 3 tickets to a New York Jets home game on November 26th, a t-shirt and a parking pass, and will be highlighted in the New York Jets Stomp Out Bullying video board during a home game and on social media platforms. I think the Giants could have used them as well.
But on phone. Brendan?
Yeah. Just a reminder, the Westfield Memorial Library Children and Teen Book Sale will be held next week. Book donations will be accepted October 24th and 25th, and the sale will take place October 26th through the 28th.
And this is from Westfield High School Athletics. Congratulations to the Westfield High School Gymnastics team, which is ranked 2nd in Union County, and to the number 1 ranked girls soccer, boys soccer, football, and volleyball teams. We wish all our athletes much success as they continue their competitions in the Union County tournaments. Good news.
Thanks. Peggy?
This is a couple of weeks away, but, so you can get excited. Westfield Public Schools will be closed on Thursday, November 9th and Friday, November 10th for professional days in connection with the NJEA convention.
Thank you. Our next Board of Education meeting will be held on Tuesday, November 14th at 7:30 in this room. And the complete agenda will be available on Friday, November 10th on the Board of Ed website. Do you have any
I
other
do not.
announcements? So now, we will jump right in.
Should we mention candidates night tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, so the PTC or the women's, is it hosted by the PTC?
The PTC
Thank
hosts candidates night for board members, and they call upon a member of the League of Women Voters to be the moderator. And so that is taking place tomorrow, which is Wednesday, October 18th. And then that will be played on Channel 36 and the other channels that call it.
At
Where
the
is that?
high school
The high school.
at
It is at the high school.
7:30.
Yes.
In the auditorium at the high school.
Yep.
Anything else that we missed? Okay. Then I'll turn it over to Dr. Dolan for the superintendent's report.
Certainly. There are actually 2 presentations tonight. The first one has to do with New Jersey's system for monitoring public schools. New Jersey system for monitoring public schools is called New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum, fondly known as QSAC. So, this is actually supposed to be the last year that QSAC is in effect. The Department of Education has been hard at work at a new system for monitoring that they are presenting to the New Jersey State Board of Education in November. So we believe that next year there'll be something else in place. But for now, this is the system that's in place. CUSAC happens to have 5 separate sections, and each public school district has to show that they are in compliance with law and code in each of these 5 areas. Those 5 areas, the first one includes instruction and program, as you would hope. That would be the first thing we would focus on in a school system. Second one, fiscal management. Third, governance. Fourth, operations. And the 5th one, personnel. So going through all the requirements in code and law that are required under CUSAC, when we looked at instruction and program, we were looking at the scores of our students on various state mandated tests. We're also talking about making sure that students and parents were aware of graduation requirements and prepared for their graduation, and also making sure that our curriculum are aligned with the standards that are approved by the state. So when we looked at all of those areas in instruction and program, we received a score of 100%. In the area of fiscal, we were looking at things such as the development of the budget calendar, the approval of the budget, the presentation to the public, and the implementation of the budget according to code. And we also were looking at specific requirements for anything that had to do with grants, for example, federal grants that we may have or state grants we may have. When we looked at all of those requirements, we received a score of 100%. Governance. Governance has to do mainly with the workings of the board. One of the main things they look at is there are a lot of mandated policies according to code and law, and are we keeping up with the policies? Are we reviewing them, and is the board formally approving them, and then the district implementing them? They also look to make sure that agendas are published and minutes are also available. And looking for all the requirements, we received a score of 100% in governance. Operation, you can imagine, with all of the data that's out there in the world, how much data the Department of Education now asks for from schools. It is incredible. It's absolutely incredible how much is required. And it's one of the things that's changed quite a bit over the last maybe 7 to 8 years. And there are various timelines where things have to be submitted. They also look at, under operations, they also look at a code of conduct. We have a district code of conduct that's reviewed every year by a committee of community members, and then it's implemented in all of our schools. But there is also quite a bit of training that is required for all of our staff, some just for professional staff, some for all of our staff. Looking at all of those requirements under operations, we received a score of 100%, and then going back to personnel. Personnel is certainly one of the most important things that is done for all employees who work in public schools. They have to pass a criminal history record. That's certainly something that's vital, and we take very seriously. And for any of our professional staff, they have to be appropriately certified. And having reviewed all the requirements there, we also received a score of 100% this year. So all of our work that proves that is submitted after approval by the board, is submitted to the state for their review, and then they issue a report as to whether they agree with us, and then give approval that the state, the district has passed the state requirements.
Does anybody have any questions? Is the replacement for CUSAC, has it been released? Do you know what this is gonna look like in coming years, or are we still somewhat at a loss?
So they have released information regarding it. Not surprisingly, some of the topics are similar. You would expect some of them to stay, and some of them they have modified, but they're still getting feedback from districts and school boards. So we won't really know what's proposed until the November meeting, I think, November State Board meeting, which is generally the first Wednesday of the month.
Is this more of a self-evaluation, or is somebody actually reviewing, like our website, that we have various materials up there?
Sure. So the way this particular one is scheduled, every 3 years, the state focuses on a district. And the other 2 years, you're mainly self-reporting, but honestly, so much information is now submitted digitally to the state that as they receive the reports, they're already reviewing it. So for example, for certification, we do a report where every staff member who is a professional staff member, you have to identify and link them with various numbers to what their assignment is, And then that has to match the certification that's on file in the state office. So if you are teaching special education math at the middle school, and that's your assignment, that has to be linked to the appropriate certification. So they're monitoring a lot on a regular basis, and then the district is asked to self-report, and they check it against our self-report to make sure we're reporting correctly. And then, again, under the CUSAC, every 3 years they come into the district to do an on-site version.
Any other questions? Okay. Next report.
Okay, the next report is an update on the Kaler Stadium renovations. And to start that, I'm going to turn this over to our business administrator, Dana Sullivan.
So we have, for the last number of years, at least 3 or 4, have been planning on renovating Kaler Stadium. We've known that the field, the artificial turf field, is reaching the end of its useful life, and we've been planning to replace that. And in order to do that, we've been saving money and depositing it into a capital reserve account so that we would not have to go out for a referendum to do that project. So we are now ramping up our plans, looking to do that project next summer. The plan is for it to start probably in early May, and the hope is to have it completed in time for football season, which would start somewhere around early to mid-August next summer. We've also discussed that we were gonna move graduation next year, so that we can start, because the project cannot be done in the time frame between graduation and August 15th. So our plan is to start in early May and to have it done then. So we've been looking at the plans for the renovation. We've been meeting with the facilities committee. Brendan has been the chair of that committee. Gretchen, Peggy, and Charles also have sat on that committee. We've had numerous conversations. We also had a visit there last week, and we wanted to share that information with the board. So where we are right now, we are in the process of developing the bid specs, which George Duthie, our architect, is working on. We had been talking, you'll remember when we presented the 5-year plan the last couple of years, we talked about an estimated cost of about $1.5 million. We expect that price has gone up, first of all, because it's a couple of years later, and prices have gone up. Construction for schools in New Jersey has been there's been more going on lately, which has caused the prices to go up. Our architects and engineers also feel that the hurricanes down south will probably also impact us because of the fields that were probably destroyed in those hurricanes will probably be under renovation next year. So we expect that price to go up. We've also identified some other parts of the project, such as bleachers, that we think really need to be replaced. They're also kind of reaching the end of their useful life and starting to become a safety issue. So part of the bid specifications that George will be preparing and it will be advertising for will have some alternates to the bid, so that the project is probably going to be a little bigger in scope because of those safety type plans that we want to do, and also just some other site renovations that we've designated as we've walked through the site. So George is here tonight, and he has those plans that we want to share with the board. And the timelines to go out to bid, I think we'd be looking at January?
Yeah, January, early February.
Right, so that we can award a contract in time for the contractors to mobilize and begin construction sometime in May. This is just a copy for the board of what George is showing the story.
I try to put this in a place where everyone can see.
Dana, it's also worth noting that we're doing some aesthetic improvements and some sound buffering and that kind of stuff along the neighbors' property lines.
Right.
But George will go into detail.
I'll go into some. So, what I really want to kind of do is point while I talk, so, does anyone hear me okay? Do you need me at the microphone, or, does anyone?
Yes.
Can you hear him okay?
Because I can
Or
get
we-
out the mic.
Yeah, microphone would probably be better.
All right, well.
They're very sensitive, so I feel like you just sort of aim it toward you.
I have one hand, it's okay, I do have
I'm in the way, so I'm gonna move.
All right. I can move the board,
Nope,
I just
sorry,
want to make sure
stay right
everyone
there.
can see okay,
I'm gonna
all right?
Let's move this over here.
So I think this works. Okay. Everyone can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, as Mrs. Sullivan said, we're embarking on a fairly large project to renovate Kaler Stadium. And it is about replacing the turf field, which is now over 10 years old. And that is an 8 to 10 year lifespan, is a normal lifespan for a turf field. So we are going to replace the turf field. That's item number one, and obviously a very large part of the project. Now, we're not replacing all of the underlayings of the field, okay? The stone and the drainage system, all those things were done. We are going to replace what we like to call the carpet, which is the top part of the field, okay? It's the turf part, okay? And some fine tuning of the grade underneath. That's what that is about. Along with that, the track itself, okay, is in, not good condition right now. It is exhibiting signs of failure. And when we do the field, it only makes sense to do the track at that time as well. So we will be doing a track replacement at the same time we do the field replacement. We'll do the field and then the track, obviously. So that also becomes a major element in the stadium project. Also, along with that, there are going to be event areas, right? We have a pole vault, long jump, and high jump areas, which receive the same materials as the track itself. So they're also going to be reconstructed and modernized as well. Okay? So those are sort of like the main elements of the project. We discussed the bleachers, and you have actually two different kinds of bleachers. You have aluminum bleachers, right, on the home and visitor side. You also have the permanent concrete bleachers, which are kind of in this area. We're going to be doing a bleacher replacement of the aluminum bleachers, okay? Only because it's not cost efficient to renovate those bleachers to modern codes, okay? So we need to modernize those bleachers. They need to be replaced. They do not meet modern standards for spectator stands, okay? Along with that, on the concrete bleachers, we're going to replace some of the aluminum benches. If you look now, you'll see that some of those are bent. So we do have some money set aside to replace those benches in the course of the project, okay? So that's sort of project 4A, 4B, and 4C is the bleacher renovation project. Now, we also have a plan, as you probably know if you've been to the stadium. There's a lot of asphalt around the outside of the fence, okay, around the outside of the track. As you enter the stadium complex, okay, you have the stairs and the wall. Many of those things are exhibiting signs of needing some attention, okay? The wall needs to be rebuilt. We're actually going to replace much of the asphalt with concrete, okay, which is a better material for that application. Lets us do some improvements for barrier-free and for maintenance, okay? So we're going to replace existing asphalt with concrete in many locations. We're going to do a project. We hope to fit it into the budget, and maybe an alternate to the project is to improve the entranceway into the stadium, okay, which will make like a gateway entrance. A couple of piers, maybe like the mascot above. We're going to try to replace the fencing, get rid of the chain link fence, and do a more ornamental fence, which some of you may know is on the farther end of the complex, the black picket fence that you see there. So we're looking at making some entrance enhancements. So that's also part of the project, the concrete, the entrance enhancements as well. We're also going to do an ambulance area, okay, for emergency vehicles, so that they can pull in off of Rawway Avenue, pull right up, next to the field, okay, and get right back out on the Rawway Avenue. That's part of the project as well, coming up kind of alongside the field house. There's a little access road right there. We have a plan to try to also, this kind of ceremony area where the flagpole is, we're also going to do a little bit of work there, kind of make that a nice area, okay, where you can continue to have your ceremonies when you have events. One other project, an important project, is improvements to the bathroom facilities, okay? We're going to actually flip the men's room and ladies' room around. The men's room is actually much better for the ladies' room. We're going to be able to get probably 4 stalls in there at least, and then the men will use the area where the women go right now. So we're flipping them around, okay? And I think that's going to be a big improvement. One last thing we're doing is a little buffer and drainage improvement project, okay, on the far end of the site, okay? And that is just really necessitated just because of some of the conditions over there with the water drainage and things like that, and to improve some buffer and screening in that area. So that's the project in a nutshell.
George, can you talk a little bit about I'll just go in numerical order. So
Sure.
2, part of the increase in the original estimate is the result of when you drilled down in the track.
Correct. Yeah.
It was actually, some of the sub-layers were much in
Yes.
poorer condition than we had anticipated,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah. Part of what work we've done already is preparations for, we've done survey work and geotechnical work. We're obviously working very closely with the civil engineering consulting on this project. And it was discovered at that time, underneath the existing track surface, there's asphalt. And some of that is deteriorated. So we've had to build some money in to actually take that asphalt out and replace that, okay? So that's what drove that price up.
And then with respect to number 6, can you just talk for a minute about what the current situation is with the ambulance and why
Yeah.
we think it's better to move that?
So currently, the ambulance accesses the area, from the area behind Lincoln School. And this is not an ideal area for ambulance access. They kind of squeeze the ambulance down in there. You're mixing with people who are coming in from the concession stand. This really is not ideal for an ambulance access point. You know, it's more difficult for them to get, you know, from the vehicle out onto the track, or if somebody's injured, onto the football field. But we can, there's actually a set of double gates. They're right there. So that's, I think right in there is where I think the ambulance is, we're here, yeah, anyway. But this will give the ambulance much better access, you know, onto a major road, as well as direct access to the end of the track and to the football field nearby. Okay, so
Are there
that's.
gates that open there right now?
I'm sorry?
On
For
Row
that
Avenue.
proposed?
Yeah,
there are.
yeah, right here, yeah, there's an opening, yeah. We're gonna widen the gates and put a road in there, widen the road. You actually have a path, we're gonna widen the path.
George, we talked about a couple different options for storage, whether it's another storage building or under bleacher storage.
Right.
Have we figured out which is the best
Well, I
course of
think-
action at this point?
Yeah, but I think what we're gonna do right now is look at under bleacher storage, because we talked about, that's the other thing, folks, so you have, your bleachers now, your aluminum bleachers sit down on the ground, okay? They're non-elevated bleachers. What we're going to do is raise those bleachers in the air. We're going to make those elevated bleachers. What does that do? The people in the first few rows now can see over the fence and can actually see the field. Ramps will be provided for handicapped seating to be provided on the lowest level of those bleachers. By raising and elevating those bleachers, we're able to slide a storage unit underneath, so we can actually do some under bleacher storage.
Which, for those of you who aren't on the facilities committee, I've been to games, but I never really spent a significant amount of time like walking the perimeter and things like that. And you realize how much sort of equipment, whether it's sporting equipment or it's Mike's, his department's equipment, we have no place to put it. And so a lot of it sort of sits out by the concession area. It's not very attractive. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that those of us that were there felt pretty strongly that this was the time to try and explore some alternatives to try and clean it up and give Sandy and Mike and their departments a little bit more storage area, so.
Does this mean we'll be able to get rid of the shipping containers that are over there then?
That would be a goal.
That's the
Trying to-
goal.
Yeah,
That's a goal.
that would look nicer.
The other thing we're
We
gonna
might
do
be able to hide the snowplows that are sitting on the fence
is,
too.
you may remember, when you walk in, there's kind of a restriction, because you've got that platform there, which is for handicap seating. We're
Right.
going to incorporate that into the elevated bleachers, so that platform will go away. So that'll open that area up for you,
Oh, that's nice.
okay?
And if you walk in now, the entrance, the other piece that I'd never really focused on, well, first of all, the bathrooms desperately need to be upgraded.
Yes.
But that entryway where 5 is now, the asphalt's very broken, it's really not safe. There's that retaining wall where there's no sort of guardrail or anything to prevent somebody from falling over or jumping down and twisting an ankle, or, so, yeah, I mean, I think that it's crying out for some love and attention and upgrade.
And instead of doing it piecemeal over
Yeah.
10 years,
Yeah.
where you'd start right over again by the time it's done.
Yeah, it's prudent to do these things now. You get the economy of the pricing, you know, obviously economy of scale. And you mobilize once, you make the disruptive activities, and then you're finished. Yeah.
And what's the life of the new field and the new track? Are they both gonna be about 10
The
year?
same 8 to 10 year range. You were lucky. You actually
got
got
15,
a very good, yeah, you
13
got
out
a
of
very
it.
good lifespan out of your track and field. You did very well.
As you're digging up the asphalt underneath the track, would the fence around the track be
Yes.
impacted?
Yeah, we're gonna replace the 4-foot fence around the track, yes. 100%.
George, one thing missing from the plan, and it's gonna stay missing, is lights. We're not planning on putting
No
lights.
lights.
No lights.
No plans for lights.
And do you want to talk about, just for the neighbors that are here, in Area 9, basically we're looking at some sort of, I'm not going to use the correct terminology, but something on the fence, sort of that acts as both a sound and a visual barrier,
Well,
correct?
not so much sound at this time, but screening, visual screening, yes. You know, some type of a visual screen, combined with some type of landscaping, you know, appropriate landscaping. Along with, we need to make some drainage improvements in that area as well. So those are the three elements of that project.
But professional meshing,
Yes.
screening, not what's been done, you know, sort of on an ad hoc basis by
Not
the
what you see
soccer
there.
association in an attempt to sort of minimize the visual disruption.
Right.
Right.
This will be a specially designed visual screening fence, not just the fabric hanging on the fence you have now.
And so as we sort of move forward, as Dana mentioned, lots of alternate bids. I mean, I think that the facilities committee is what recommends, you know, we evaluate what the cost of all these, we prepare bid specs, and then some of the sort of want-to-haves instead of must-haves will be bid out as alternate bids, and we'll get a sense as we move forward in terms of the cost and things like that.
Absolutely, we want to get the most bang for our buck, and if that means we have to pick A over B, then those are the decisions that we'll have to make at the board table later. George, with 9, with the plant
Yes.
plant buffers,
Mhm.
are we gonna do anything with irrigation over there?
Not lawn irrigation, no, there's
No.
no current plant.
Anything for the plants that we're gonna be putting in?
We don't have an automatic irrigation system planned for that. That would
Okay.
be a maintenance item for
Mhm.
the district. Yeah, that would be a maintenance item.
Just one question, George. If you were checking, you know, with like sampling the underpinnings of the track, I'm assuming we've done the same for what's under the turf as well? I know you said that it's really the top layer that's getting replaced, but that the
Yeah.
under,
We made an
the
allowance.
structure underneath is doing fairly well.
Yeah, we're not worried about that. We know there's drainage. We made an allowance just to, the first course of stone, to make adjustments in there, because we wanna make sure we get the field at the exact right elevation, because obviously when you tear it up, you're gonna disturb that very first layer, so.
Stone will shift around, but asphalt, once it starts to break down,
Yeah,
they
we're
have
gonna
to
fix
pull that
that.
up, like a pothole in the road.
Yep.
Yep, familiar with those, yeah.
And then, we're relocating some of the spring sport schedule that typically takes place at Kaler to,
Yes.
we're accommodating it on that end in hopes that we'll be able to start the football season and the lacrosse season and everything there in the fall, correct?
Yes, Sandy's already working on that.
Soccer, sorry.
Just keep in mind, you know, this is very weather contingent,
Mm.
so we have to keep our fingers crossed that we have a nice spring
Yeah.
and summer. So, you know, it's just something, certainly we'll put timelines in the contract and whatnot, but the contractors are not gonna be held to a timeline if the weather doesn't cooperate.
Right.
That's just
Yeah.
the way it, you know,
I-
it is. We don't
actually-
anticipate that, but.
Yeah, it's not just the rain, but we also need a curing period for the asphalt that goes under the track. It's a 30-day period of time when we need the right conditions for the asphalt to cure before we can place the track surface. So we also have, and so this sort of just sits here paved, the track surface, until we can actually put down the rubber part of the track. So there's some waiting involved also with this project.
To the extent that we can plan it with the contractors
Right.
as to when they do each part of this.
Yes.
You know, we'll try to get the field, of course, and track done
Mhm.
first, if we can, but
Oh, yeah.
in some respects, that's not gonna work. They're gonna
Yeah.
have to do some parts of this work,
Yep.
you know, before or after, so.
Yeah, it's possible, yeah. Yep. And bleachers have a long lead time. There's a lot of things we know about the project. We have to wait for, bleachers require engineering and, fabrication, and they're made in Texas, and, so, anyway.
Which is why we are talking about this
Yeah.
now, so that we can get this out to bid and
Yep.
moving.
We've already gotten kind of a heads up from some of the manufacturers about the cost impacts.
So it's not only that there are turf fields in Florida and Texas that need to be replaced, but also that the manufacturers that we need are in those locations.
Yeah, many of them are, yes.
Okay.
George, you said the carpet has a useful life of about 8 to 10 years. Does the track surface, same thing?
About the same. Yeah, if it's maintained, you have to maintain the track surface. If it starts to experience cracks and divots, you need to fix those right away. You don't want water getting down on you.
Right.
If it's properly maintained, yes, 8 to 10 years.
Is
And
it
you
gonna
did
be
maintain the track.
same material that we have now, or is it more?
Yes,
It
same
is.
material.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then down, number 5, on the left, where you come in, I think that's the single person entrance where you kind of wind through.
Yes.
That stays the same, is that for crowd control, is that?
Yeah,
the
that's
reason
going
we
to
do
stay
that?
unchanged. That will have, again, just the concrete updates there. You have a ramp right in that area that takes you kind of up onto here.
That's
So we
right.
don't anticipate any changes other than what we're going to be doing to have access to the ladies' room here. We're gonna make a couple little changes right in there.
Got it.
Plus
But
that
mostly
allows you
stays
in
the same.
when the stadium is closed, right? Isn't that the runner's gate?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Makes it very hard to get a bicycle.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that?
Yeah, we don't really have
yeah.
any plans to change that right now. No. We will be adding some, access gates and things around the outside of the track.
We'll have to make sure we have good signage to let people know we're switching the genders on the restrooms.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
First couple weeks of that'll be interesting.
That could be, people are rushing in or something, that could be, yep. The learning curve should be fairly short.
The line for the ladies will be long, and the line for the men will still be short.
Right, exactly. Since there are neighbors here, I don't know if anyone has any additional questions that they want to ask while George is here before we sort of move on with the agenda. Yes, please. If you could just state your name and address.
Thank you. My name is Jean Lemberg, and I live at 528 Grove Street. And can I just do a quick segue? I just wanted, my husband Greg is not able to be here this evening. He's on a business trip. But we wanted to just tell the board that, offer our gratitude for your commitment to solar energy and our congratulations for installing it and having it up and running. And I would also like to thank Dr. Dolan and the Facilities Committee for the time and energy you've put into the planning the proposed renovations. And just a huge thank you for putting in the buffer and also for your commitment to no lights. That's really important to us, and we appreciate that. The one question that I did have was if you've considered some sort of upgrade to the public address system, because the current public address system just blares out into the neighborhood. We can hear it inside our house with all the doors and windows closed. We've had other people tell us that they can hear it throughout the neighborhood. So that was one question. And if, also with regard to noise, we would like to suggest that third-party sports teams not be allowed to use the PA system, because there's, the issues with noise primarily are in my opinion, are the third-party users of the field. When it's Westfield High School games, they tend to be used, the PA system tends to be used more respectfully. But there's no one there on Sundays, and on Sundays, the field is used generally, it often starts at 7 a.m. and it goes nonstop until often 5 o'clock. And there's no one to call. My husband and I don't feel that it's right to try and contact Sandy. Everybody deserves a day off. And so that's an issue that we hope you'll consider. And the other one was that speakers and boom boxes not be permitted on the field, because that is a way that there are people coming onto the field and using speakers and boom boxes, which is also inappropriate because it just adds to the noise and is similar to the PA system. And with regard to field usage, we're hoping that since you are addressing Keller Stadium now and the renovations to it, that you'll put some kind of policy in place to try and limit the usage. It's so that people are not on the field. It's one thing for runners, they're quiet, but the third-party users often go on at 7 o'clock and they use leaf blowers, they are moving equipment around and it's noisy. So if that could be limited also. But, and thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm not responding specifically because I don't know the answers, but, I certainly will follow up on a facilities committee in terms of the PA system, and I don't know that the upgrade would be part of this, but it's certainly something that, is part of our regular ongoing maintenance, we can talk about. I know that the noise with third-party users on Sunday is sort of an ongoing issue, and it's something that we're aware of and something that actually Sandy monitors very closely. And so it's always our hope that the guidelines that we set will be respected and observed, and I know from time to time they aren't, and we always go back and make a reminder. But you're right, if at some point third-party users can't comply with our guidelines, then certainly we're gonna have to sort of be a little more strict about that. So we do try and be sensitive to it, but thank you. Does anybody else wanna, if you could come up, name and address, please.
I promise I'll be brief.
That's okay.
Susan Bottorff, I live at 514 Grove Street. I've spoken to you a couple of times before about my concern about the lights, and I'm very relieved to know that that has been your decision. I don't know how you came to it, but thank you, and thank you. Like Jean, I want to thank you for the time that you've taken to consider all these things. I had a thought today, though. I walk on the track, and I pick up trash on the track, and it's getting better, it seems. But I was standing out in front and looking up at the front, right above the main entrance, the Art Deco, I was looking at the fresh painting up there. I think it was done like a year ago, maybe for graduation. I don't remember exactly, but it looks really nice, I thought. And but then I was looking down further on the sort of the column section. There's squares sort of go into the Art Deco design, and I thought that would look quite nice if they used some color in some of those squares down the front. It wouldn't take a lot of money, and it wouldn't take a lot of time, I don't think. So if you're going to be doing all this other freshening up, maybe you could look at that and consider doing that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else? Any questions for George? Anybody from the board? Any more questions for the facilities committee or George or Dana? All right.
Good job.
Thank you,
Yes.
George, very much.
Thank you, George.
Yes, thank you.
All right, at this point, I'd like to ask the board to approve the minutes of our board meeting held on October 3rd, 2017, and the private minutes of the same day. Can I have a second?
Second.
Amy, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Anyone? Okay. Moving on, personnel, Mark.
Okay, I'd like the board to consider personnel items 1 through 19, please. Wait, hang on, sorry about that.
26.
Wait, pages are out. Sorry, hang on. Okay, is it 26?
It is
26.
Okay, not in my package. So let me restate.
Well, that's why we went paperless, Mark.
I picked it right up from the front.
I'm in order.
I'd like the board to consider personnel items 1 through 26. Can I have a second? Thank
Second.
you. Chris and Dr. Dolan.
Tonight, I'm announcing with regret the retirement of Cathy Archioli, a secretary in special services. Cathy is retiring after 22 years of service. She began as a substitute secretary and was then hired to assist child study teams. In her role, she has worked closely with staff, administration, and parents to help ensure that the needs of our district's neediest learners are being met. She is efficient, hardworking, kind-hearted, and always has a smile while performing this important service. She will be missed by everyone who has worked with her, and we wish her well in her retirement.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Dana, please.
Mike Beelan,
Yes.
Mark Friedman,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
Yes.
Chris Langhart,
Yes.
Gretchen Oley,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
That would be it.
Thank you. Facilities, Brendan.
We pretty much covered it with the presentation here. Our next meeting is December 1st.
Thank you. Long-range planning, Mark?
I don't think we have another, we had an update, the last meeting.
And we have a meeting
Nothing.
scheduled.
Did we?
The 30th.
Okay, October 30th, and
Monday
then,
morning.
yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
And then, so we'll update, after that. That's it.
Thank you. Policies, Chris?
Yes, we have two items. I'd like the board to consider for approval, item number 1 on the agenda. The first reading of these policies, 5120, assignment of pupils, 5200, attendance, 5240, tardiness, 5308, pupil health records, 5350, pupil suicide prevention. Can I have a second?
Second.
Brendan? Any questions or comments?
I'd just like to comment, I'm not sure if it's been in there in the past, but I did like the fact that I saw take your child to work days included as an excusable absence. I thought that was encouraging and nice to do. I don't know if it's been there in the past, but.
That actually came from the state.
Oh, it did, okay. I like it.
We won't tell.
Dana?
Mike Phelan,
Yes.
Mark Friedman.
Yes.
Brendan Gallagher.
Yes.
Rob Garrison.
Yes.
Chris Lineheart.
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
The second item, I'd like the board to consider for approval, first reading policy 5230, late arrivals, to abolish this policy. Can I have a second?
Second.
Brendan? Any comments or questions? Dana?
Mike
Oh,
Phelan.
sorry. Dr.
I'm sorry, I
Brennan,
was just going to say that it can be abolished because of the way the attendance and the tardiness are now written, so that's why it makes sense to abolish it. It's one fewer policy.
We still encourage on-time
We
arrival.
still like people to arrive on time and stay the entire day, just to be clear.
Mike Phelan.
Yes.
Mark Friedman.
Yes.
Brendan Gallagher.
Yes.
Rob Garrison.
Yes.
Chris Lineheart.
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
Policies Committee will meet on November 28th, and nothing further to report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Curriculum, I would like to ask the board to approve curriculum items 1 and 2. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Rob, thank you. So the district field trips were attached to the agenda. Hopefully you've had a chance to review those. And then the 2017-18 school nursing plan also was an administrative memo. Does anybody have any questions? It sort of ties in nicely with some of the policies because our nurse had an opportunity to review those and provide us with an update, so she's clearly been busy. Dana?
Mike Phelan.
Yes.
Mark Friedman.
Yes.
Brendan Gallagher.
Yes.
Robert Garrison.
Yes.
Chris Lineheart.
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
We have a curriculum meeting this Friday at 8:30. Should be short. On the shorter side, we have no curriculum to review, but we have some agenda items to talk about. Finance, Mark?
Yes, so I'd like the board to consider finance items 1 through 19. And a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Robert. And just a couple of comments. We'd like to accept a gift of $1,252 and change from the Westfield Coalition for the Arts to purchase a Yamaha HD 200 keyboard and stand for the Edison Intermediate School Band students. So thank you for that. And also, we'd accept a gift of $300 also from the Westfield Coalition for the Arts to purchase an iPad for the Roosevelt Intermediate School Art Department. So thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
It's probably just worth noting that the first item is a resolution that the board hopefully will be passing to, with respect to our food procurement, our ability to do it on a cost reimbursement basis versus fixed price basis. Long story short, the state or the Department of Agriculture has sort of mandated a change in the way that we can procure food services for the district, and we think that it's going to sort of hamper and probably decrease the quality of the food that we're able to offer our students. So we, the resolution basically is the board asking for that policy to be reconsidered and sort of alerting them to our concerns. So Dana, you'll keep us in the loop and let us know how that
Yes.
plays out. Great. Anybody else? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Dana, does that affect just the federal lunch program or all
If-
cafeteria services?
If we were not in, if we didn't participate in the lunch program, it wouldn't affect us, but we do currently participate in the
Okay.
lunch program.
Okay,
Mike Beelan,
Yes.
Mark Friedman.
yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
Yes.
Chris Langhardt,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
The next finance meeting, I think, is the first week of
November
November 3rd. November 3rd.
Thank you. Technology, Peggy.
No report, we meet on October 27th.
Okay. I'd ask the board to note the notes for the record. And do we have any unfinished business? Any new business? Liaison reports. Really?
You know what, Christian, Mark made a good point. I'll just make sure that the rec committee knows about the plans for Keller Field, because they're redoing Tamaqua. I don't think the schedules conflict, but I'll make sure I forward it on to them, so they're aware of it.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. And is there any sort of update in terms of when the town's work at Tamaqua might begin, or?
I'll find out. I know
Okay.
they've discussed various dates. I'm just not confident that anything's been decided yet.
The town council is still soliciting design ideas from community members, so they're not anywhere near ready to even go to bid yet.
Okay. Any other liaison reports? Any-
I could just make a pitch for those who are not able to attend candidates night tomorrow, or who want to watch it on video later. The special ed committee is having a presentation at Lincoln School tomorrow at 7:30 about early education, and it's for parents and for professionals. They're actually offering continuing education hours as well. So if that is perhaps more of your cup of tea, that would be, it's open to the public. So, and it's at Lincoln, which is a great facility to get to see.
Great. At this point, I'd recognize the public for any questions or comments. Seeing no one come to the podium, I ask the board to approve the following resolution. Resolved that the Board of Education move into private session for the purpose of discussing matters rendered confidential by state and federal law and residency issues, and be it further resolved that any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential and the results of the discussion will be made public as soon as practicable. Can I have a second?
Second.
Amy, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are in private session. Thank you very much.